everybody. Hello. Just so that way I know everybody can hear me, go ahead and type in the chat for me. Go ahead and post a comment. It is only me today, so you're unfortunately just stuck with me. But go ahead and awesome. Thank you. Hey, Ashlyn. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Hey, Brett. All right. Well, I guess everybody else is just a little shy today. That's okay. That's okay. So today in our webinar, hey, Ron and Queen, thank you. So today in our webinar, we don't actually have like a presentation. Instead, it's going to be more so like a regular conversation and actually going through how we do some SEO here at Wolfpack Advising. So we're going to just kind of share our screen and go through some live examples. So it's actually going to be a really great webinar if you're looking to do SEO on your own, because we're going to go over some really key insights here on how you can start optimizing your website on your own. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm going to turn down the music a little bit. And as I mentioned earlier, you are stuck with me, unfortunately, just today. Nobody else joining. So, yeah, let me share my screen and let's get into it. So the first thing that I want to bring up, let's go ahead and present, share screen, share this tab. So I'm going to share this Google tab real quick, and I'm going to put myself, let's put myself over here. So one of the first things I want to talk about is like what SEO really is. I hear some people during we have consultations, or we talk to people at conferences, or we talk with other digital marketing agencies, and everybody has some type of opinion on SEO and what SEO really is. Some people suggest that, hey, with SEO, there's certain things that you need to do with keywords, and you need to post keywords on your page. Some people are like, hey, it's all about backlinks. Some people are like, SEO is dead now with artificial intelligence, and we'll touch on that too. And others, I spoke to somebody, I want to say yesterday or today or something like that, where they basically thought that SEO was dead. And it happens frequently where in the community of SEO, people talk about SEO being dead. It's not dead. It is never going to really truly die, in my opinion. I can pretty much guarantee you that one, because when there's always going to be a search engine, there's always going to be some type of strategy or way in order to improve your rankings on the search engine. So when we talk about SEO is just generally the practice of improving your website's visibility on search engines. The biggest one, majority of everybody knows, is Google, the one that we're looking at right here, right? It's working on improving your business's, your website's visibility on Google. And if we do any type of Google search, such as plumbers near me, you could tell I'm in Riverview, Florida, but there's tons of different now pieces to the search result. And before, years ago, there wasn't this many pieces. So I want to first start by breaking down what are the different sections of the search results, how does it all work, and that'll give us some really good ideas into how we can start implementing SEO within our business and improving our businesses or our websites' online performance. So when we search for anything, we want to think about what the intent of the search is. That's Google's first question. What is the intent of the search? Well, in this case, for plumbers near me, they're looking for plumbers near them. Comparatively, if we ask a question like, how do I get rid of ants? It's an intent for an informational article. The intent is we are looking for pieces of information. We're not looking to make a transaction. We're not looking for businesses. So in general terms, there's 4 different types of intent. The biggest ones that you're going to come across are going to be a commercial and informational. Informational is going to be those informational articles. So that would be if I did a search here and searched how to get rid of ants. While it still populates with some advertisements, you can see that the main search results are informational. It's about, here's how to get rid of ants. Not these are companies that can help you get rid of ants, right? So first one is going to be commercial and informational. First two, commercial, informational. Then we also have transactional. Transactional, or with those ones, it's more so about transitioning or transferring to another site, such as Facebook. Somebody types in the word Facebook, they're looking to go to Facebook, right? So they're going to make a move to Facebook. Now, this last one that we have, as I mentioned, there's 4 different intents. The last different intent, I'm sorry, that transactional one, I misspoke. It was actually informational is what I meant. So make sure you write that one down. It's informational, not or navigational, not transactional. So this last one, let me pull up my notes real quick. This last one is transactional. So we have navigational when you type in Facebook, right? You're trying to navigate towards Facebook. You have informational, which is you're looking for information. You're looking for articles. Commercial, you're looking for businesses. Last one, transactional. You're looking to make a transaction. You're looking to make a purchase right then and there. Okay. So those are our 4 main types. The most popular ones that you're going to see and going to use in an SEO world are going to be commercial and informational for your type of businesses. Usually for home service-based businesses, it's going to be commercial and informational. So if I go back to my other search and I search something like pest control companies in Orlando, Florida, this is a commercial search. I'm looking for commercial businesses. So now that we kind of understand when we first make an initial search, we need to understand the intent. What happens from there? Well, from there, we need to start breaking down the search engine results page, also known as the SERPs. So search engine results page, also known as the SERPs, is made up of many different types of sections of the Google page, and each one is an opportunity for you to kind of rank in. So it's not, hey, I'm going to get that at the very top of Google when I do SEO. That's not how it works. There are many different pieces that can bring you to the top of Google, such as Google local ads. You could do regular Google search ads. You could focus on your Google business profile, and then you can finally focus on Google search or search engine SEO, search engine optimization, SEO. So looking at this first one, this is the newest piece to Google search and Google search engine results, which is Google local service ads. In this case, we can see Google guaranteed. So for commercial type of searches where the intent is commercial and they're looking for local businesses, you have the opportunity to see and show for Google local service ads, which is always going to be at the top right now. This can change in the future. So these particular searches, if you want to get at the very top of search engines, this is how you do it. This is going to be for keywords and for leads that are going to be highly transactional. So they're looking for a pest control company. They're looking for a home service company. They're looking for a real estate agent, right? They're looking for any type of local businesses. As long as they go by the Google local service ad guidelines and they can advertise within there, they can show within this top one. This next one right below it is your regular Google search. So here we have Google local service, and then right below it, we have Google search. This is also a Google search. This is not a Google local service ad. This is a Google search ad. So you can see that one by sponsored here. So we have Google search, Google local service ads. So when I'm looking at the top of the page and basically above the fold, which means before I scroll down, everything is advertisements, right? Once I scroll, then I start getting into the organics, basically where we can start improving our SEO. So everything above right now for this particular search is going to be paid advertising, focusing on Google ads in some sort, whether it's Google search or whether it's Google local ads. If I do a search, something like, let's say, shoes, red shoes. If I do this, you can see I have some shopping ads, but then immediately I have some organics, right? Or if I search for doctors, now it doesn't show any advertisements for this one. So in most cases, if you're going to do like home service related, so electricians near me, you're going to see these local ads, and then you're going to see these search ads, and then finally you're going to see the organics. In our focus, we are going to focus on these two sections of the organics. So this part of the organics is called your map pack, also called sometimes people call them the snack pack, whatever you want to call it. You can just call it the map section, right? Whatever you want to call it. Usually it's going to be 3 different types of businesses that are highlighted on the first page, and then they can click into more businesses to see the rest of the businesses that are shown here. Then you have the regular Google search results. So your typical SEO results, the original Google, the OG Google, is showing here. You also have other sections that are like featured sections, such as this one, which is people also ask, which gives you an opportunity, or the user an opportunity, to easily click down to read something quickly if they want. And it populates with more if they need to read some more information here as well. So for our focus, as I mentioned, we're going to focus on this section here. And then later, we're going to focus on how can you work to improve this section, which is one of the most common places people talk about and want to improve when it comes to SEO. All right, let's just summarize one more time because we got a couple new visitors here. When you do a Google search, if I start out with Google, it all starts out with the intent. What is the intent of the search? The search's intent is made up of 4 different things. It could be commercial. They're looking for a commercial business. It could be informational. They're looking for information. It could be navigational. They're looking to navigate somewhere, such as they type in the word YouTube and they're looking to go to YouTube. Or it can be transactional. They're looking to make a transaction. After that, once you find out the intent is going to decide on what the makeup is of the search engine result page. So here we just broke down some different sections of the search engine result page. And these different sections will give you the basically the strategies and the ways you need to improve your search ranking for that particular keyword. So everything is going to revolve around the search, what they're searching, the intent, and then what we need to do to improve for the different section. And then again, last thing is what we're going to focus on is not advertisements today. We're going to be focusing on the map pack, which is here. And we're also going to be focusing on the regular Google search organics, which is your OG Google right here. So let's start with the map pack. How do you improve this? Well, this section in ranking here is made up of 3 different factors. Okay, so the first one is authority. How authoritative is your business in relevance to somebody else's? So if we look at the top people ranking here, we're asking the question, how authoritative are these plumbing companies versus other plumbing companies? Or if I search for home inspectors in Orlando, Florida, we're asking the question of how authoritative are these companies versus those that have not showed. The second question we're asking is how relevant are they to the search? So the search itself is home inspectors in Orlando, Florida. So we need to look for home inspectors in Orlando, Florida. Now, all of these are super relevant, so they get basically a perfect score there. Authority is kind of up in the air and based on Google to decide how authoritative it is. But I have a strategy for that as well. And then the third one is proximity. So how close are they to the actual search? So if somebody searches in Orlando, Florida, they're looking for businesses in the city of Orlando. Now, if I search near me, it's different, right? It is, how close they are to the actual searcher. So if I'm searching, how close they are to where I'm located. So now that you know those 3 different pieces, you can start working to improve for the searches that you want to appear for. So take, for example, let's open up a tab and let's take a look here. I'm going to open up a random metro, let's say Dallas. I'm going to share this tab. So let's say you serve Dallas, Texas. All right. You may also while your office is in Dallas, you may also serve Fort Worth because it's right next door. So you may also go over to Fort Worth. And you may also, all these towns and cities outside of Dallas, you may also go to, right? But let's say your location is actually in Dallas. What that means is for your particular business, it's easy for you to rank for Dallas because the proximity is there. You meet that condition. But for you to rank for Fort Worth, you don't meet that condition because your office is located in Dallas. Now, we often get the question, okay, well, what if I don't have a physical office? What if I have, it's just my home and I don't have the address listed? Well, if that's the case, then what you're saying is, hey, for this entire service area, this is where my business is located. And generally, what we've seen is a lower priority on proximity to the search when it comes to that. So if you say, like, hey, I service Dallas and Fort Worth, and I have a private address located in Mansfield, and I don't want that to show in Google, usually you're going to show in lower rankings across the board, unfortunately. If you do have a physical office, you'll show in higher rankings for that particular location only. The way around this and the way to gain that one particular system as far as proximity, create more locations. However, when you create more locations, it's technically against Google guidelines to do so unless you actually have a physical office and you're physically present at that location or at that office. So you have employees that are staff it. Now, I know there's tons of questions around that. So we have a good amount of time for this. And I know this is more like a conversation piece. So I want to pause there and see, does anybody have any questions when it comes to, the map pack and specifically proximity? We're still going to touch on relevance, and we're still going to touch on the authority piece, but proximity does anybody have any questions on what I just mentioned there as far as like, hey, I have an office in Dallas, but I want to show up in Fort Worth? No? That's okay if you don't. Brett asked, can you do a PO box? No, Brett, you can't. It's against Google guidelines to do a PO box. You're based out of Kansas City, but you cover the entire state. Yeah, so if you're based out of Kansas City, Edward, your proximity and where you're going to rank for is Kansas City. And while you do service the entire state, unfortunately, Google isn't going to show you at the top of search results for every single city within the entire state, right? So that's this one thing that a lot of companies try and hurdle over. And there's a couple of strategies for it, right? As I mentioned, you can create separate locations, but it's technically against Google guidelines to do so unless you have physical office locations and people staff there. The other thing that you can do, which is what Google wants you to do, is pay for advertising. So that's the big kicker there, is Google wants you to pay for advertising for those other areas. And one, can you blame them? But two, there's so many other businesses out there across an entire state, right? So to rank number one, while we want to rank number one for all those different cities and stuff, we're kind of being a little selfish a little bit by not giving the opportunity to other businesses out there that are actually located in those cities, right? And I know that might be like, well, yeah, I'm being selfish. Like, of course you're going to be selfish, but there are tons and tons of businesses out there. You have an employee in another city I want to cover as well. Can I use him? Yeah, this is another common question we get. So if you have an employee in another city and you want to start servicing that city or expand into that city a little bit more, can you use him? Sometimes we've seen companies use employees' addresses in order to create another Google business location. So the short answer is technically no, but you theoretically could. The issues that arise with it is if you create let's say you create that second location with the employee's address and you list it as a public address. If you list it as a public address to be shown, that's going to give you the highest chance to show in search results for that particular city. However, you can't have a private address listed as a public office. Google's going to try and take that down. Other people are going to try and take that down as well. You can report a business for doing that on Google, and then it can be removed. So you can try. The other thing to consider is, like, if you list it as, hey, it's private, you're kind of going back to square one, because at that point, it's like you still have your other business that could technically show for that location because there's still service for that location. So it's not even worth it to do that. And the other thing to consider too is if you do, let's say you do, and you're able to get it listed online as a public office, even though it's a private address or even though it's not an actual second location, and you're going against Google guidelines that way, you still have to start pumping reviews there, which we'll talk about here in a moment. But you still have to start like pumping reviews there, and then you have a chance at any time in the future to lose those. So it's definitely coming up with some risk there. My professional opinion when it comes to this is ultimately do what's best, go with Google guidelines and stick to that only. And then pay for advertising when it comes to those other locations that you really want to show for. Because ultimately the Google local service ads right now are really high as far as return on investment. So when we go back to, let's go back to our search. We go back to this. If I want to search for Orlando, Florida, these are going to be the highest ranking ones and are going to get most of the good quality leads. If I'm outside Orlando but want to rank for Orlando, it can be very difficult to do that. All right. I'm going to move on here because we're about 25 minutes in and there's a lot still I want to cover. So the map section, we just covered one piece, right? There's 3 different pillars to basically ranking number 1 here. We just covered proximity, right? That's going to be one of the biggest factors. So if you're outside, if your office is outside the main city you want to serve, move your office if you can to that main city. The other one, which is fairly easy, is just relevance. And we'll go over relevance a little bit deeper here in a moment, but just make sure that if you're a home inspector and you want to show for home inspections, you're listed as a home inspector on your Google business profile, right? The third and final one is authority. Authority mainly has to do with the number of Google reviews and a good rating. So not all the time, it doesn't 100% rely on that, but for the most part, you're always going to see like the top person in that particular area ranking on here. I get some companies that ask me, hey, why am I not number 1 if I have the most reviews? Like, isn't that your guys' fault? Or like, how can I improve that? It's totally up to Google. That's not something that we can 100% control. We can only optimize and do our best for that, right? Same thing to you. You can only optimize and do your best when it comes to that. Generally, what I find is in the map pack, they like to give the user of the search options. So they'll give one of, hey, this is the best company. They're the highest rated. They are the most experienced. They're in Orlando, Florida. They're relevant to your search. And here's some other options as well that may not be the best well known, but they're also in Orlando, Florida. So you could check them out as well, which is what we could see there with A1 and Orlando's best home inspection. So let's talk about relevance for a few minutes. And then we're going to make a final touch point on authority. And then we're going to move on to the next half, which is talking about all of this stuff down here. Now, SEO is a huge topic, so I could talk about this forever, guys. But let's talk about the relevance for a moment. So with relevance in the map pack is going to have to do with the relevance to your Google business profile. So this is your Google business profile that we're looking at here for this particular company. And I don't know this company at all. I'm just picking them apart for this particular webinar. But your Google business profile needs to be filled out completely and accurately. That is how you get relevance. Your office hours. Do not put 24 hours. Put it when your office is actually open, okay? When you're available to answer the phone. For your services, make sure you list all of your services, right? Be very detailed with your services listed here. Going back to the overview, if you have certain conditions and details, such as appointment required, online estimates, on-site services, or mask required, for example, is another one. All those little details, make sure you fill those out as well. It's going to give you the opportunity to do that in your Google business profile in your manager. And that's just going to be, if I go back, scroll up to the top here, I'm logged into my account. If I click business profile manager, that's where I would manage it for my business. You can see an example of one of the companies we advertise for as this one here. So coming back to this profile. So when we're looking at relevance, it needs to be complete and accurate on our Google business profile. You need to be super detailed with this. Your photos need to be complete and accurate, professional looking photos. This company has done a really good job so far. They have a mixture of some defect photos, some regular houses, but also the team is super important. Your vehicles, your equipment, showing all different types of aspects of your business. If I scroll down and let's go to, for example, one of the old or last pages. Let's say this one. If we look at this one, I just picked it at random. They don't have many team photos. They don't have any professional stuff. They got their business card in here. And I don't mean to pick on them or anything like that. But if your profile has just a bunch of defect photos in like this, you really need to make sure it looks clean and professional with some team photos. And also, if we go to the overview here, we look at this one, they're open 24 hours. I guarantee you somebody's not sitting at the phone for this particular business 24 hours a day. Right? Services. Let's see how detailed their services are. Services are pretty decent. And I would probably bet they're missing some here. And they do not have any additional sections that we saw with the previous one. So we saw with the previous one, they had on-site services available. They had some additional information such as on-site or online quotes available. I would definitely recommend that. But they do have a description at least, which is really good too. So with the map pack, there could be also relevant stuff and authority stuff pertaining to your website, not just your Google business profile. So we're going to go in your website section here in a little bit, but mainly what I wanted to focus on here is going to be making sure you're filling out everything completely and accurately. Make sure you're adding professional photos, you're filling out all your services, you're really taking the time to complete all of this information. So now that we have those two pieces, the last one of the pillars is going to be authority. I mentioned before, authority, the biggest driver of authority is the number of searchers or number of Google reviews. If we look here, we're in the back, and you can see they have 100, they have 2, 42, 2, 6, none, 27. And if I go to the very front, we're just going to naturally see that there's going to be more Google reviews on the very front of the page versus the rest. So if we look here, we can see that 500, 258, 46, 2000, 53, 500 again, 200, 180, 170, 500, 200. So reviews, the number of reviews that you have is another clear indicator to how authoritative your business is. If you don't already, I'm going to open up another page. So under our thing for home inspectors, this is just our website. One of the things that we have is review request automations. It's going to be available with any type of scheduling software. So if you're a pest control company, plumber, whoever, a real estate agent, whatever type of CRM system that you're using. If you're a home inspection company, you have like Spectora ISN. If you're a pest control company, you have things like Field Routes. They have tools for you to build review requests within your orders. So after you complete an order for the day or a transaction or an inspection, whatever it is, you need to send out those review requests immediately because that's going to definitely increase the amount of reviews that you have on your profile. The other thing that you could consider doing too is you don't have to use us, but Blip Reviews is another one that I like. They do a really good job as far as requesting for reviews. So if you are looking for something and you need a solution that's a little bit better than what you currently have, definitely look at something like Blip Reviews. You can, of course, look at us at Wolfpack Advising, and we can help you with that. But you can also look at some of the other solutions that are available out there online. Just search review request systems and you'll find it. So going back to this, I think I lost, where was it? I want to go back to this one. So this one ranked number 3. It wasn't number 1 or number 2, but we can see that they are relevant, they are authoritative, and they are close to the search, right? They are in Orlando, and they serve Orange County is what this Google decides to populate it right here. So how else can you improve authority? There's one other way you can also improve your authority besides doing Google reviews. The other way to improve your online authority is through other citations. So a citation is basically a notation or a note of your business's information online, such as your name, address, and phone number. So a Google Business Profile is a citation. This is a citation of Central Florida building inspectors, where it has their name, address, a bunch of other details, but their phone number as well. There's other places, such as or things that are called website directories, that also include your citations. Another common one in the case of home services is going to be Yelp. So Yelp is another big one. So if I search for, let's say, roofers near me, and I scroll down, Yelp has decided, or Google has decided, that Yelp is one of the top searches. So when we look at authority, when we look at relevance, when we look at not so much proximity, but mainly those two, you need to be on all these different website directory sites, and your profile needs to be complete and accurate on all of these as well. You need to have good reviews. You need to have photos. You need to have a proper address. You need to have all of the descriptions and services. So you need to take some time on Yelp as well. You know what also isn't besides Yelp? Angie's List is another good one. If I scroll down, we'll probably see another one. Home Advisor, Thumbtack. These ones you typically have to pay for, but you can at least submit your information to them. You're going to get tons of sales calls, but at least you submit your information to them and get your information listed on their website. Another one is, I know there's mixed feelings about Porch Company. Another one is Porch for home services. You can list your business on Porch. Make sure your Porch is complete and accurate as well. You don't have to work with them. Just like with Yelp, you don't have to advertise with Yelp. You just need to make sure your business is listed online. Other ones that are really good, Apple Maps is another one. Bing Places. So if we do a Google search for Bing Places is another one. It's the same thing as Google Business Profiles. That's the same thing here with Bing Places. Yahoo Local is another one. There are actually so many. With Wolfpack, there are 60 plus ones that we automatically add for our customers whenever they onboard with us for SEO. So we'll do it automatically for 60 plus different citations. Now, in terms of SEO, how much does this really help you? It's a great question. And any SEO is not going to be able to tell you, any company, any agency, marketing agency is not going to be able to tell you how much it helps. The thing with SEO is you need to be doing all these little things right. And once you do all these little things right, that's when you start seeing the ranking improvements. So make sure your business is listed on all these different citations and directories. If you need further help with citations and directories, obviously you can work with Wolfpack if you want. Other solutions you can look at doing that I've reviewed or done before is BrightLocal. BrightLocal is one that can build your citations for you. Some of this is a little bit of a gimmick, so just be careful that you're not, spending too much money and falling trivial to some of these items that they have. Just be careful about a few of them. But BrightLocal is one. Another one you can look at is Whitespark. Whitespark.com, or not Whitespark.com, Whitespark.ca. That's what it is. Whitespark.ca is another one that can list your business on all these different directory sites with one click. So BrightLocal, Whitespark, and then the last one that I can refer is going to be Moz Local, and that's besides Wolfpack. Moz Local can also help here with listing your business, and you could get a free listing score. Some of it is a little gimmick, so just be careful with this free listing score. Don't think that if it gives you an F, you're actually an F, because oftentimes there's some misspelling or some little technical error, and that's why that's happening, and you can just probably ignore it. But yeah, that's it. That is it for the map pack. All right. So if I go back to Home Inspectors, Orlando, Florida, I'm just picking on Orlando, Florida for whatever reason. So we talked about how you rank here, all those different factors. Now, finally, what about here? So we have the 4 intents to recap, the 4 intents to a search, the different pieces of a Google search and how you rank for each. And then finally, our OG Google, how do you rank here? So with this, there's tons of different pieces. But what we're going to cover with the last remaining minutes, we have about 20 minutes remaining. We're going to actually go through some examples of how you would actually rank here. And the trick that we're going to use is we're going to use this with a WordPress website. So majority of companies, over 50% of 50% of websites use WordPress. So if you're not using WordPress, or if you're using something similar like Squarespace or Wix, you could do the same thing. But what I'm going to be talking about mainly is going to be how to use Yoast, because a lot of people are going to be utilizing Yoast SEO to improve their WordPress website. But if you're utilizing Squarespace, if you're utilizing Wix, you can change all these things that I'm going to be talking about today within your site. You're just not going to have direct access to Yoast. Okay. So if I share this tab, this is Yoast. It's just yoast.com. It is a WordPress plugin. It is basically an install that you add to your website. Excuse me. And this will help you optimize different pages for different keywords. So going back to the search, if we want to rank for this keyword, Home Inspectors Orlando, Florida, and we want to appear for here or in here, then we need to focus our page around the keyword Home Inspectors Orlando, Florida. So Yoast SEO is going to help us do that. And it's going to give us all the little tips that we need to do in order to add to our page to make sure that we can rank for that particular keyword. So in this case, I'm going to do a live example with you guys of me optimizing one of our template sites. So we have some template websites that we have for different companies. We service many different types of industries, not just like these listed, but these are some of the common templates that we might start from. So if I view this demo here, and I view this is one of our site demos. So what we'll do is we'll actually edit or create one of these pages, and we're going to edit it to optimize it together for SEO. Then you're going to see exactly how we might do that. So we want to rank for the keyword. Let's go back to this. We want to rank for, let's say, Home Inspectors Orlando, Florida. So I'm going to come back here. And what I'm going to do in this live example, I'm going to edit the page real quick. And I have this, I don't want to use Elementor. I want to use the front end editor. So every WordPress website is going to have some type of editor. In this case, we use WP Bakery Page Builder. You're probably going to have a different one. Another one common is like Enfold is another common one. Another common one is Elementor. In this particular demo stuff, we have tons of different installs on it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just duplicating that home page. So we're doing an example of Home Inspectors Orlando, Florida. So I'm going to publish. Do this backend, and all I'm going to do is just add that template here and hit update and view the page. So now I just have another copy of the page that I had for my template. And what we're going to do together is I have Yoast installed, and we're going to optimize this page for SEO. So I'm going to edit page. Now, when you're utilizing a builder, let me... Doesn't look like Yoast is on here. Let me activate Yoast real quick. All right, so Yoast is activated, but when you're utilizing a builder, sometimes Yoast doesn't work fully. So you need to make sure that Yoast, if it doesn't work fully, that you're just abiding by Yoast's guidelines. And I'll show you another example when we go to some of the blog posts at the very end. But you just need to make sure that you're doing what it says it's doing. It's not going to check it for you automatically when you're using like a WordPress website builder. So again, majority of companies here are going to have some type of WordPress builder. All right, so now if I scroll down, I can see that Yoast is installed. And if you don't know how to install Yoast, again, guys, just go to the Yoast website. It'll walk you through how to install it. All right, so we have Yoast installed, and we're going to put in our focus key phrase. Our focus key phrase is Home Inspectors, Orlando, Florida. Once it's installed, what it does automatically is it shows us a preview what it looks like in mobile as well as desktop. So what you want to have is basically the keyword in the title and then your business name in the latter half, which is what we have here. The slug here is your URL. Because this is not the home page anymore, it is going to have a slug or a separate URL, right? So it's going to be wolfpackdemo.com or yourdomain.com/Home Inspectors Orlando, Florida. And what you want with these slugs, or what you want with your URLs, is if it doesn't automatically generate, you do not want this. That's bad. And you do not want underscores either. So you don't want that either. What you do want is you want dashes between your words. Google can read that. And then finally, we have the meta description here, which is one of the last things. So the meta description is just going to be the description of what appears in search results. So if I go back, what we need to consider is we need to have the keyword. As you can see, it's kind of highlighted or bolded. We need to have the keyword in the meta description and then in the title. And then in the slug or the URL, which we can see here, this is the URL or the slug. So we need to have it in those places. But you also need to make sure that the meta description is enticing to click on. So what you want is something like this: read real reviews and see ratings for Orlando home inspectors for free. This is a list that will help you pick the right pro and home inspectors in Orlando, Florida. Right? What you don't want is, if I scroll down to the bottom, say scheduling your home inspection has never been easier. Thank you for choosing Home Shape Inspections. Call for a quote. This particular description doesn't match, right, necessarily like what we're trying to go for this particular search. Or this one here from Porch. It's not enticing to click on. They don't have a custom meta description. Sometimes Google does edit it. So we just need to remember that particular piece. But let's go back here. So what's a meta description? That's something that includes the keyword, but also entices people to click on. Say the best home inspectors in Orlando, Florida. Read online reviews and get a quote for your home inspection in Central Florida. There we go. So it includes the keyword. It's relevant to the page. It's relevant to the search. And it's also enticing to click on. Right? Those three pieces for that. Now, once we have these pieces filled out, that's the majority of the work we need to do. But if I go down to this SEO analysis, Yoast SEO also gives us some additional things. So it gives us some problems that we need to fix. and then tells us what we've done good already. So a couple other things that it gives us is we need outbound links, key phrase and introduction, key phrase density, and key phrase and subheading. So to do that, I'm going to click update. What I want to do is go to the editor and just add the keyword in, sprinkle it throughout. So here, I'm going to put leading home inspectors in Orlando, Florida. Now we have a subheading. Now we have some regular paragraph text. And that's all we really need to do. You don't need to go too heavy with keywords. Just make sure, I know I have some filler text in here. Just make sure you fill it in with some actual information, some actual testimonials. Why we're great, that's fine. You don't need to include the keyword in every single heading, right? You just need to sprinkle it throughout. One heading, one subheading, and a couple places and some body text is perfect. The last final piece that you need to do to basically make this perfect is your images. So if I click edit image here, and I add an image, what you want for these images is you want the file name to match the keyword, you want the alternative text to match the keyword, and the title. So I'm going to put in the title. And I'm going to put this in the alternative text. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to do the file name, but I would do the file name as well here. And I'm going to click set image, save, and finally update. That's it. Now, there's a couple other suggestions here that I haven't covered, but you can see now my SEO analysis from Yoast SEO is green. So you can see it took me pretty short amount of time to edit this. Now, with an SEO agency or marketing agency, there's going to be a whole lot more that they're going to do to make sure that they're giving all the different chances and opportunities. But in the case of your business, or if you're doing it yourself, that is the majority of what you need to do. You can also focus, if you want a little bit of extra credit, on your readability. Just making sure that you're adding a lot of information that's relevant and it can be read easily, basically just at a high school level, right? At a 9th grade level. So make sure you have proper breakups between paragraphs, your sentences aren't too long, you're not using complicated words, and you're using transitions. That's it. All right. So we covered a good amount here. The last piece before I segue off, because we got about 9 minutes and I want to leave it open to some questions, is blog posts. So these are articles or just sections. If we go to wolfpackadvising.com, share this tab, we have tons of blogs in here, tons of different things that are ranking for a good amount of stuff. So for example, if you want to learn about say how much does Google Guaranteed cost and is it worth it? We do a keyword research to find what are people searching for, and then we write an article that is optimized around that keyword. So it's the same thing when we go to look at this. So if I go to write a blog post for a particular informational article that my consumers might be searching for, in the case for a roofer or a home inspection company, it could be like, how long do metal roofs last? We're going to do the same thing. So we paste this in here, put that as a slug, remove the question mark. Metal roofs last about 30 to 50 years. Now you could fill this in with whatever. Now when you're writing this, you want to give a heading with the keyword. Make it a heading. Add paragraph text. And then finally, you're just going to add in an image and upload an image that talks about how long do metal roofs last. Keep the same thing in mind: file name, alternative text, and the image title with the keyword. Once you do that, you can add your featured image, polish it up a little bit, edit it out, go through all your different checks here, add it to a category if you want, and hit publish. That's it. That's it when it comes to SEO. It's going to take some time when it comes to this. This is one of the terms of SEO where it can take 3 months to start seeing some progress. It could take 6 to a year to actually start getting your really good progress in. But once you start doing that, you're well on your way to starting improving on the search engines. There's tons more that I can talk about when it comes to doing your SEO. There's ways that we could talk about it with Google Search Console. We could talk about Google Analytics. We can talk about webmaster guidelines from Google. There's tons of different facets of it. But if you're looking to get started and start doing your SEO, these are the critical things that you need to be doing on your business and on your website. Just make sure with whatever website that you have that you're starting with, you get a good audit in it at first, or just have a reputable agency build it for you at the beginning. If you did it on your own, it would be a good idea to just have some type of agency to audit it real quick. Make sure there's no big issues, because there are some issues in it that you can go over or hit where your website can't even be crawled by Google, where basically you're telling Google not to view this website, not to show it in search results. And if you have some of those issues, that's basically going to stop everything from what you're trying to do. So if you haven't gotten a site audit done, you can ask us to do it. Just feel free to email us or submit a proposal on our website. Just say, hey, I was on your webinar. I'm looking for just a site audit. We're happy to provide it to you. But I'll stick around for another 5 minutes or so for if anybody has any questions. I do want to remind everybody, while we're here, we have our conference coming up in January in Tampa, Florida. During this conference in Tampa, Florida, if I go over to the agenda, I believe on, is it Thursday? Yeah, on Thursday, we have a class dedicated on how to do your own SEO in person. So if you want to learn more about how you can do your own SEO, this is going to be a class that you're going to want to attend in Tampa, Florida during our summit. There's tons of other really good classes too as well, like how to build a winning team. There's some great classes on your contracts, social media classes. We give you a roadmap to success. We talk about how to use AI in your business to maximize productivity, creativity, and profits. Tons of great classes if you want to check out. It's just wolfpacksummit.com that you can go to. With that being said, thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate it. I'll stick around. Does anybody have any questions about SEO? I'd love to chat about it. No questions? All right, everybody. Well, feel free to contact me afterwards, or contact our company at wolfpackadvising.com if you do have questions. Edward, awesome. Yeah, send in the proposal. We'll get you a site audit of your website, and then I'll let you know if there's any critical errors. If there's not, you're golden to do everything that I mentioned on this, and that should be well on your way for what you need to do. There's a ton more information available on Yoast, or if you go to our conference, we can definitely share more information on how you can start doing your own SEO. Thank you, Edward, for being here. All right, everybody. If there's no other questions, I'm going to head out. Thank you so much.